Hey yo, what is up? Today we are looking at the KV-4 KTTS. This tank from 2015 is actually being buffed, and I've been looking for information about this tank. I don't believe this tank has ever been released. Now, for those of you who are here to get information on the Clan Wars Workshop KV-4 Kreslevsky, this tank isn't it. If you want a quick cap on it, let me tell you, don't pick the KV-4 Kreslevsky to work on in your workshop if you are playing Clan Wars. If you're playing Clan Wars, your workshop tank should be the 50 TP. Now, if you've already got the 50 TP, alright, then go ahead and get the KV-4 Kreslevsky, because the 50 TP will kick the KV-4 Kreslevsky's ass anytime, any day. This is the KV-4 KTTS, a 2015 tank. I actually got to play this tank in 2015 or 2016 in a limited account that was only available to play in the training rooms. But I don't believe this tank has been ever released. So it's been sitting in the files for like 7 years. Does anybody have this tank? I don't know, but I definitely don't have this tank. But anyway, some recent information a couple of days ago indicate that this tank has been buffed, and because it's been buffed, I think maybe they're preparing it for some kind of to be released soon. So let's take a look at the stats. 1400 hit points. This is up another 200 hit points from its original specification, just as well, because you know, that was 7 years ago. Things have been buffed a lot. If you take a look at the skin and the model, you know this is an old tank, because no Soviet tank that they make today have these kinds of textures. The smooth texture on the tank, it's no longer this way anymore. Anyway, if we're looking at the armor profile right now on the lower plate. Now it says the armor profile on the hull is 200 millimeters. That's not the hull. This is the hull. Just that thin little plate there, where the machine gun and the machine gun port is, that's 200 millimeters. The lower plate is only 175 millimeters. Even when it's angled, only 200, 209. Most of it, when you are in eye level, when you're fighting this head on, you can see 176. Easy, huge lower plate for you to hit there. You absolutely cannot miss it. But anyway, this tank has 1200 horsepower, incredible amount of horsepower, but this is also a pretty heavy tank. This is a 100-ton tank, twice as heavy as any kind of normal Soviet heavy tanks that are around 50 tons. So this thing is incredible heavy. So the power to weight ratio is only 12.0. Really slow, super heavy kind of tank. A lot of armor frontally. The top turret or the machine gun port right on top of the turret, that is a lot of armor. You do not want to shoot it there. Instead, you want to try to get the cheeks of the gun, which is going to be a weak point. See, at an angle you can get about 170, 160, 140 millimeters of penetration. You could almost penetrate that. That you can say it's a turret, but it's not really a turret, because this thing does not have a turret. This thing is actually a tank destroyer with a gun that's able to traverse 45 degrees left, 45 degrees right, just like those new Italian tank destroyers. It has a limited turret traverse, not 90 degrees left and 90 degrees right like an E4. This is only 45 degrees. So you're basically just looking over your shoulder, slightly left and slightly right over your shoulder, 45 degrees on each side. This used to be 15 degrees left and 45 degrees right. They had a weird configuration back then. They decided to get rid of it, I suppose, because who's going to play a tank where you can only look 15 degrees to your left and 45 degrees to your right? It's ridiculous. So they've made it kind of universal now. It is 45 degrees left and right. The speed on this tank really extremely slow, 35 kilometers an hour going forward, 10 going backwards. Like I said, it's going to play like a super heavy Again, this tank does not have a turret. It looks like it has a turret, but it is a tank destroyer with a fixed turret. The gun mantlet, or just the gun thing, can rotate 45 degrees left and right, so it looks and feels a bit like a regular turreted tank, but it actually is a fixed turret tank destroyer. The alpha of this gun has been increased from 320 to 360, significant increase of 40 hit points extra, and this is important because it is 2022. This tank was 2015, 2016, a totally different time now. What do you have for this gun though? The good thing about this gun is it reloads in 8 seconds, which means you can have, with all your BIA, cruise skills, food and all that, you can get it down to about 7 seconds, or maybe even slightly less than that. The aim time 2.4 seconds flat, and the gun dispersion only 5 degrees. So this thing is definitely flat ground attacker. It is not a ridge line. You do not go to a ridge line with this tank. You go around the ridge line, or you snipe at the back, or you hang around with the heavy tanks and push together with the heavy tanks. That's what this tank is for. Shell velocity is not bad, over 1,000 meters per second on the standard shell, and premium shells over 1,300 meters per second of shell velocity, which makes this a pretty good fast firing gun. You don't need to lead your targets too much. Again, we are looking at the weak spot here. The side of that mantlet is where the weak spot is going to be. As soon as he looks somewhere, shoot at the side of that gun mantlet, that little turret, I suppose. I'm not talking about the top turret, I'm talking about where the main gun is. The top turret is very heavily armored. If you try to if you think that is going to be a weak spot and you try to snipe the cupola, it is not going to pen, because it is a lot of armor, as I showed you there in the armor profile video. So yeah, this is the new KV-4 KTTS. I do not believe that this tank has ever been released. I could be wrong. Because I don't have it myself, and I don't think I was trying to research this on YouTube. I didn't see anybody have it, except it's on World of Tanks Blitz or World of Tanks console, but I don't believe that World of Tanks PC has this tank ever released into the server, even though it is a 7-year-old tank. But anyway, expect this tank to be coming out soon, because they actually leaked the upgraded specs, upgraded stats recently. So they only do that if they are close to releasing the tank, or they're thinking about releasing the tank, or they're trying to get us all excited about this tank. Here I am again pointing out where the weak spot is. If you're going to try and shoot this tank, avoid the top machine gun that is sitting on top of the turret, because that is not a weak spot. Just try to shoot the side of the turret. That is your best spot, or the lower plate of the front of the tank. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video and took some information. Remember, this is not the workshop tank. Do not pick the KV-4 Kreslowski. Thanks for watching. I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.